Hello, my report is all about evaluation strategies. I will share the screen now. So I will be reporting for the whole chapter. Evaluation strategies for the laboratory and clinical practice settings. So evaluation is an important concept in learning. So it is a part of the process in learning. One will identify if the students are learning or not. Of course, no, when we say evaluation, so dito natin tinetest yung, especially yung mga students natin kung meron bang learning during the uh, discussion, during the topic, okay? So in this topic, we will explore the importance of evaluation in education. There are some strategies of evaluating teaching to be discussed. Okay, first is identifying the goals of evaluation. So before we or before someone can perform the evaluation, we should know first the goal, why we are performing the evaluation. Okay. So before deciding how you will conduct your evaluation, it is important to be clear about what you want the evaluation to accomplish. Kung para saan ba? Okay? Ano ba ang magiging focus? Sino ba ang magbe-benefit ng pag nagkaroon ng evaluation? So taking the time to refine these ideas will help you focus your efforts and choose appropriate evaluation methods. So consider these questions to refine your evaluation goals. Why are you planning the evaluation? Bakit mo ba gustong ah, mag-evaluate? Okay? Bakit ka nagpaplanong magkaroon ng or mag-conduct ng evaluation? Okay, who will use the evaluations results? So after collating the results of evaluation, sino ba yung magbe-benefit? Sino ba yung gagamit? Okay? So experts stress that evaluation can improve program design and implementation and demonstrate program impact. So um, itong mga experts, okay, we are pertaining to the experts in education, okay? So they have conducted studies and they stressed that they believe that evaluation can improve. So, nagko-conduct tayo ng evaluation para makapag-maximize pa, makapag-improve pa tayo ng certain program kung ano yung ine-evaluate natin. Of course, kung pag lumabas yung evaluation result, makikita natin kung ano yung mga strengths and weaknesses and therefore pwede tayong mag-improve lalo na doon sa mga weaknesses na data. Okay, second, clarifying the students for evaluation. Okay. So for the students, the most tangible effect of specifying learning objectives is the use made of those objectives to define more clearly what is being evaluated. For example, the ability to carry out minor restoration work on certain types of archive documents should be verified not by a question, which merely calls for enumeration of the stages in the procedure to be followed, but rather by a demonstration of the skill required. So, sabi dito, mas better na ang isang um, para mas ma-carry out yung isang question or um, pag deliver ng isang part of evaluation is mas effective kung through demonstration. And wag agad na by question. Okay? So the evaluation of learning must seek to verify whether objectives have been attained. Otherwise, there is a considerable risk that the students will cease to attach importance to the objectives. However precise and however clear the objectives may be, they will remain a dead letter for the students if the latter do not perceive those objectives as having a connection with the instructional activities and with the evaluation of learning. So, of course, kapag nag-formulate tayo ng mga learning objectives natin, dapat makikita rin naman or lalabas yung connection doon sa buong instructional method or yung plan, teaching plan. And dapat meron din siyang connection doon sa evaluation part. Okay? So, certain evaluation procedures which become possible when objectives are defined will be discussed in the text dealing with the ways in which objectives can be used in teaching. The formulation of precise objectives gives the teacher greater motivation to acquire the means of attaining those objectives and to evaluate them. So third, selecting and applying evaluation methods. So, paano ba tayo namimili? Okay? Ano ba yung mga gagamitin nating evaluation methods? Okay. So, observation. Okay. Observation provides opportunity to monitor or assess a process of or situation and document evidence of what is seen and heard. Okay. So through observation, pag nag-observe tayo, for example, sa isang klase, by using the process of observation or by observing our students, okay, somehow meron na tayong na-evaluate sa kanila. Okay. Ano ba yung how they learn, their attitudes, okay, on how they communicate with other students, how they perform different skills that being taught. Okay. So seeing actions and behaviors within a natural context or as they usually occur provides insights and understanding of the event, activity, or situation being evaluated. What are the advantages of observation? Flexible approach to data collection, suitable for a broad range of contexts. So, naalala ko dati because nag-graduate ako sa isang laboratory school. So, I was a graduate or a product of Tarlac State University Laboratory School. So, tinawag siyang laboratory school because dito nagpa-practice teaching yung mga students ng teacher education, yung makumukuha ng edu. So, kami yung ginagawa nilang students nila and nagpa-practice teaching sila. So, during their, kumbaga, yun na yung pinaka-return demo nila sa kanilang course, no? Merong observation. So, big deal sa kanila kapag sinabing, okay, tomorrow, there will be a teaching observation. So, mag-observe yung dean, okay, yung college dean, professors from the same college, College of Education. So, i-observe sila kung paano nila i-handle yung classroom. They're being observed of their classroom management, teaching strategies, yung mga evaluation methods nila. Okay. So, that is an example of observation. So, observation can produce a mix of qualitative and quantitative data. For example, when observing people in a group situation, you might count up how many times certain behaviors or interactions occur. So sabi ko nga kanina, by observing, nakikita din natin kung ano yung behaviors, yung attitude ng mga students. Okay. Then that is quantitative. Okay. While also taking freehand notes about the nature of the group dynamics, which is the qualitative. Another advantage of observation is structured observation helps provide measures or records of behaviors without relying on people's capacity to report what they do or estimate how often they do it. Observation can be a low impact way to collect data. When planned appropriately, the observer may have only a minor effect on the activities or blend into the observation setting. The discussion of feedback from observation can lead to valuable reciprocal professional learning conversation. Teachers can also observe teaching and learning in their own classes using digital recording technologies such as 360-degree cameras or other appropriately placed recording devices. So, dahil nga nasa era na tayo ng more on technological innovations. May mga ganito na tayo on how we can learn more. No? Some use cameras and some, lalo kung online learning, we can record the meeting. And by that, we can observe our teaching and learning. So what are the limitations and how to manage them? Ano ba yung mga pwedeng limitations nitong observation? So observation needs to be carefully planned with a clear understanding of the questions to be answered and the particular behaviors or attributes of interest. So hindi tayo basta-basta nag-observe. Dapat ito ay well-planned and dapat structured yung, kumbaga may checklist ka kung ano yung dapat mong i-observe. Okay. This helps avoid being overwhelmed by a vast amount of data or getting stuck at the analysis stage, wishing if only I had kept an eye out for. It is valuable to have two or more people undertake observations, as one person alone might miss things that someone else would see. So, ang medyo limitation or disadvantage nitong observation, mas recommended siya na ang mag-observe ay more than one. So, tama nga ito na because one person alone might miss things. So, of course, limited lang din yung nakikita ng bawat person. So, mas madaming mag-observe or mas madaming observers, mas broad yung data na makakollect nila or makikita nila or ma-observe nila. So, conducting observations can be labor-intensive in preparation, data collection, and analysis. Depending on the rigor required for the evaluation, there may be a need to allocate time for pre-observation discussion to calibrate the observers. Time may also be needed at the end of the observation for discussion, checking consistency between observers and reflection of what was collected. So after mag-observe ng mga assigned observers, dapat meron deliberation kung ano yung mga or reflection kung ano yung mga na-collect nila or ano yung mga na-observe nila. Okay? So, meron, may mga findings na unexpected out of the criteria or questions or checklist na pin-repair. So, meron mga lalabas, meron silang ma-observe na hindi nakasulat doon and that should be taken down and discussed after observation. So like most measurement in a social setting, the process of collecting observational data will have an influence on what is being measured and can result on unintentional biases that we need to be mindful of. Skilled observers are good at being unobtrusive or fading into the background when they need to, Early data may need to be discarded while subjects are still getting used to the observer, especially if using video to record the activities. The more familiar people are with observation, the more normal it becomes, the less this problem arises. Okay, so written work. So bukod sa observation, pwedeng um, maging method yung written work. So the most common forms of written assessment are essays and essay-based exam. So sanay na sanay tayo dyan. Okay, so pag sinabing essay, we are expressing our thoughts, our principles on a certain topic, using our own words on how we understand such um, question or topic asked. After forms of written assessment include lab reports, dissertation, reflective diaries, portfolios, and case studies. So, sa nursing practice or sa undergrad, okay, so meron tayong mga lab reports, meron tayong mga, some universities, meron silang reflective diaries, portfolios, and yung pinaka-common which is yung case studies. So, written assessments can cause difficulties for many different students, including students with specific learning difficulties, um, who may have difficulty with spelling, grammar, or structuring essays. Students learning through a second language who may have difficulty with spelling, grammar, and academic writing. Students with significant external responsibilities, certain disabilities, or personal pressures who may have difficulties with organization and time management. So, as a clinical instructor um, in a nursing uh, nursing college presently, I would like to share my experience because I have a foreigner or a foreign student, and he is an Indian. So when I am evaluating their work, so I give them different kinds of exams, multiple choice, essays. He can um he can score higher for the exams that are multiple choice or identification. But for the essay type uh, exam or essay based exam, I I think he is having hard time to formulate his words. He cannot express himself um, through essay based exam. But when you ask him if he understand a certain topic, he understand the topic that we discussed. So it's really difficult for him to express his thoughts and answer essay-based exams. So because of that, I already limit the type of exam, this type of exam, because he might adjust too much of it. And I think it is better to use multiple choice and rationalize the answers afterwards because it will train them also for the board exam. Okay, guidelines for inclusive written assessment. So clarity, flexibility, and submission mode. So it is important to provide structure and organization to aid in obtaining the meaning of the report. Structure is defined as the various headings or sections or components of the report. Organization is defined as the logical or sequential arrangement of the structure. So both the nature of the educational program and the nature of the evaluation will determine the structure and organization of the report. The following is a guide for structuring and organizing a report. So in writing an evaluation report, the following components are essential. So purpose of the evaluation, method, or kung ano yung evaluation method na ginamit, okay, or yung utilize, and then the result. So that's how it is. This is an example of a format in writing an evaluation report. So optional content would include, so this is optional only, background information, expanded methodology, and conclusions. The following are major points to be considered in writing the evaluative report. So cover, title page, table of contents, and purpose. So for the method includes population study, the survey instrument, data collection procedures, and data analysis. Usually this is a brief section. It could also include evaluation design. Then lastly, the results. Display and discuss what you found. You may want to include typical quotes from respondents. Okay. Usually, you would put most tables in the appendices where results are about uh, different levels, input activity. So, mas kung ilalagay natin or papakita natin through table, mas nakikita natin yung yung hierarchy, yung output, yung outcome. So, yung mga major points. So, cover, title page, table of contents, purpose, method, and then the result. So, conclusions, nilalagay din yan sa ating written report. Based upon the evidence that you collected, what conclusions can you draw from the data? This section contains the agents or evaluators' judgments about the results of the program. For example, based on the findings that 90% of the client's reactions were positive. So, extension has a good image in Sunshine 20. Next method is oral presentation. So this is similar with an oral report or oral presentation. Okay, when you report evaluation results orally, do what comes naturally. Be at ease. This implies that you know your audience, practice your presentation, and make it interesting by doing a variety of things other than merely talking. For example, use slides, transparencies, or role-playing. So, pwede ka naman gumamit ng mga PowerPoints, okay, slide shares. So, dati may mga transparencies pa and also role-playing. So, this will facilitate an active participation among the students. Get your audience involved by letting them ask questions and predict results. Oral reporting may be either face-to-face or presented on radio and TV. Regardless of where the oral report is presented, be certain that you are prepared. The following suggestions are presented regarding the oral report. So these are the do's for the conduction of oral presentation. Ensure in advance that the room has a projector. Do a number of practice runs through the presentation before the real thing. Be prepared for all technology to fail. So, dapat may backup. So, limit how many slides you include. So, hindi naman lahat kailangan include mo dun sa slide. Yung mga suitable lang. And magkakasya dun sa time na allotted. So, only use keywords and simple phrases. Use a large enough, easy-to-read font. Label any graphs, charts, figures, and diagrams. Include images for visual interest occasionally if relevant. So, these are the don'ts. Don't rely too heavily on the PowerPoint presentation. So, hindi lang kung ano yung nakasulat sa PowerPoint, yun lang. So, as much as possible, we try to elaborate and discuss and relate it to a certain concept, certain theory. Include slabs of text, not only it is distracting. Do not include slabs of text. Mga naman. So, it is an eyesore kung if you will flash on the screen a slide full of words or paragraph. Okay. So, simply read from your slides. Let them be reminders and key points. Use amazing fonts. Do not use unnecessary slide or text transitions. Do not use PowerPoint sounds, and do not choose a template that's PC and does not relate to the presentation. So next method is simulation. So this is very common nowadays, especially that we are in the uh, still in the pandemic crisis. Okay, so as an online clinical instructor, I use this method, this simulation, for especially that now that we are in, my topic is in the clinical lab for the IMCI. So I cannot pull uh, an actual child for them to assess. And since that we are using also uh, online learning, so I use simulation, video case, video case simulation. So simulation refers to the imitation of real-world activities and process in a safer environment. Simulations aim to provide an experience as close to the real thing. So, itong simulation, if you were able to undergo training, BLS, and first aid training in the Red Cross. So, meron din silang case simulation. So, kasama yun dun sa course. So, dadalhin nila kayo dyan somewhere there dyan sa Capitol. So, mag-act kayo. Meron case simulation or sometimes dun sa may TSO, sa may TSO McDonald's, you will pretend that someone will pretend to be a patient and you will be the responder. So, this is an imitation of the real world activities. So, a simulated activity has the advantage of allowing learners to reset the scenario and try alternative strategies and approaches. This allows learners to develop experience of specific situations by applying their wider learning and knowledge. So, this approach is frequently used in disciplines where students need to develop skills and experience, but safety issues or cost considerations prevent this happening in the real world. So this actually, or this presently express what is happening nowadays. So for example, medical simulators allow students to practice diagnosis and treatment on dummies that can react in sophisticated and fairly realistic ways. So during return demonstration, noong meron pa tayong face-to-face, meron tayong mga dummies, and they can also perform different procedures. And tayo yung magbibigay as clinical instructors, tayo nagbibigay ng case scenario. Okay? So self-evaluation is another method. Self-assessment is a valuable learning tool as well as part of an assessment process. Through self-assessment, students can identify their own skill gaps where their knowledge is weak. See where to focus their attention in learning, set realistic goals, revise their work, track their own progress. If online, decide when to move to the next level of the course. So self-evaluation, this is a method wherein the students have to be conscious of how they are performing. Okay? So dapat conscious sila kung ano yung progress nila, kung saan ang strengths nila, saan sila mahina. Okay? So a valuable process on its own, self-assessment may be paired with peer assessment. So as far as I remember, merong mga ganitong activities noon sa Gen Ed, sa psych subject. So, you have to write your own or your self-assessment on how you perceive yourself. And there's a paper at your back and you will ask your classmate or peer on how they assess you or how they see you. So, applying knowledge gained through peer assessment, students' self-assessment can be a potent next step in actively promoting their own learning and achievement. Next method is testimonials. It is a written recommendation from a celebrity or satisfied satisfied. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so satisfied customer affirming the performance, quality, and or value of a product or service. Testimonials are one of the most potent tools of marketing. So, makita natin to. So, sabi dito, are one of the most potent tools of marketing, which is true. Kung nakikita nyo sa mga social media, they are posting uh, real testimonials or testimonials a from an avid user so of their product to perceive or to share their satisfaction to other possible clients. It is a recommendation of the character, ability of a person or of the quality of a consumer product or service, especially be a person whose opinion is valued. A formal statement of truth or fact, attribute given for services or achievements. So this is an evaluation method. We can use this in the class or at the end of a um, discussion. So testimonials. So we can ask the students what they learned. So personal. We can ask them how they can relate a certain topic in their uh, own experience or in their own life. Next is analyzing results. Analyzing results of evaluation. So analyzing assessment data, any one assessment should not be used in isolation to determine the achievement level of a learner. A range of assessments will provide more reliable evidence of learning from which the practitioner can make an unbalanced judgment about learner achievement. Including learners in the analysis of their assessment results encourages them to take ownership of their learning and adds motivation for them to set their own learning intentions. Sources of data. In the classroom, most assessment data is collected by practitioners as part of their regular practice through questioning, observation, discussion, tests, and projects. So these are some ways on how we can collect data, or these are the sources, examples of sources of data. Knowing cohorts, knowing learners. Analysis of assessment data generally occurs at a cohort or individual level. Practitioners who understand their cohorts of learners and each individual learner develop effective learning programs for the whole group and individual learners. So, sabi nga natin, ang learning ay iba-iba yan dahil meron nga tayong individual differences. So, individually, meron din tayong different ways or learning uh, capacities and learning programs. So, each student is different from the other. So, pwedeng si student A, mas mabilis siyang natututo through questioning, while si student B, mas madali siyang, uh, mas madali niyang ma-acquire ang information and skills through observation. Okay? While si student C, mas natututo siya o mas na-absorb niya kung discussion yung ginagawa. So, each student is different from the other. So, looking for patterns, ongoing assessment allows practitioners to look for patterns of misunderstandings before making an overall judgment. Patterns of misunderstandings and misconceptions across a class inform planning of the next step in the learning process for the class. So, assessment analysis, communication, and feedback. Item analysis. Although it's time-consuming, a detailed item analysis reveals helpful information about students as well as assessments. Strategies to analyze a selected response assessment are described below. So, selected response analysis. Number down a sheet of paper after marking the assessment. Tally every time a question is incorrectly answered. So, ganito. This is an example of an item analysis. So, pwede itong gamitin kung during oral discussion, meron ka mga random questions, or you can use this evaluation tool, the item analysis, for sa mga exams. Ano ba yung mga questions that are incorrectly answered? Kung saan yung pinakamarami dyan? Yung number 5 and number 11. So, yun yung mas i-utilize mo or mas i-rationalize mo yung topic na tinanong dyan. Bakit hindi nila nakuha? Okay? Or bakit madami ang hindi nakakuha nung type ng question na yun or yung topic. So, rubric. Also, teachers analyze results of a rubric-based assessment across the class by tallying the results. Start with a blank rubric. After scoring all the assessments, flip through and tally each time a student is rated in that standard. Below is a sample rubric for a presentation. So, ito yung rubric natin. So, ito yung, you can see on the leftmost part, the presenter must speak in a loud and clear voice. So, this is a criteria. So, the perfect score is 3. So, the presenter or the presenter presented with a loud and clear voice. So we give them 3 for that criteria. So the perfect score, kung makikita ninyo, is 369. Okay, so presenter will make eye contact with the audience and use note cards only to stay on track. So, kung hindi siya ganun ka-perfect, okay, hindi siya ganun nagkaroon na good eye contact, so dito siya sa 2. Okay, so ganun naman gumamit ng rubric. So, analysis. Students understand how to prepare a speech and deliver it in a logical order. Most students are reading from their note cards during the presentation. Finally, a teacher can infer that students are evenly split when it comes to using a clear speaking voice. Feedback. So in order for our student assessment information to improve curriculum, instruction, and student learning, accurate analysis of assessment results must be followed by feedback to the student and teacher. The feedback that positively impacts student learning is criterion reference. So meron kang criteria na gagamitin during the feedback related to specific knowledge and skills, student-centered, student-involved, timely with additional opportunities to perform. Of course, kung after mo ma-collect yung data, okay, so dapat meron tayong feedback. Feedback natin kung ano yung mga na-collate nating data. Sabihin natin, nagkaroon ng sa item na to, okay, madami ang hindi nakasagot. So, ano ba yung naging problem doon? So, let's go back with this topic and discuss natin ulit. Okay? So, feedback at the beginning, during, and at the end of the instructional process. So, makita natin dun sa mga expert na magturo, no? During the beginning, meron na silang mga nare-relate na mga feedback questions. During discussion, in the middle, okay, may sisingit nila yan, and of course, at the end of the instructional process. So these are all necessary to provide students the best learning opportunities. So reporting results. So after we analyze, of course, kailangan nating i-report ang results. Okay. There are some general guidelines that should be considered when reporting evaluation results. So for the audience, learn as much as possible about your audience. Most people can be divided into readers or listeners, and some are both. So, ma-observe naman natin yan. Okay, so since we are in the advanced clinical teaching, we can, though hindi tayo nabigyan ng opportunity to actually teach student nurses dahil nga pandemic pa. So, but we can relate to this, that some of the audience will be just readers. So, lalo kung may mga fina-flash kang PowerPoints dyan, okay, or transparencies, some of them are reading. But behind that, they cannot hear your voice. Everything is blank and they were just reading with themselves. And some of them are listeners. So they're just listening to you, focusing on what you are saying, and they are not reading. They're just listening. And some are both. So these are audience that are this is a skill called active uh, learning, active listening. so they can read and listen at the same time. Have some understanding of the amount of knowledge the audience has of the program. Different audiences or students want different information, know who wants what. Consider the education level of your audience. Keep in mind the cultural background of those interested in the report. The audience profession or occupation is a key to enhance the understanding of the report. Of course, kung mas nakaka-relate sila, mas madali nilang ma-absorb kung ano man yung topic na dinidiscuss. So, credibility. Data should be objective. Data should tell what was found. Cover the major points only. So, when we are reporting results, we cover only the major points. Okay? So, during reporting results, the presentation, the presenter should be good in speaking and writing skills should be used, but be yourself. Organize the report in a format that is easy to follow. Next is data. Present data in a way that the audience can understand what was found. So make as much as possible when we are reporting results, make it at uh, the simplest form. So report on the most important. The busy administrator or policymaker generally is not interested in listening or reading about all the details of a program. Therefore, report on the most important programs and the most important parts of the program. O, totoo naman po ito, di ba? Try mong magpatawag ng meeting or sabihin natin MANCOM meeting. Actually, yung mga nasa top level management, hindi sila ganun ka-interesado. Hindi sila ganun nakikinig. Okay? So, mas maganda na when we are presenting results or reporting results, we target direct direct to the point na kung ano yung mga most important points. Next is report. Often many programs are complex and have many components. Many public agencies have several different programs. Again, according to keepers, administrators, and policymakers don't have time to review volumes of materials or listen to hours of oral reports. Therefore, report in small amounts and often. So, mas maganda daw na wag bulk yung magiging reporting ng result. So, as recommended, mas maganda kung magkakaroon ka ng frequent report pero meron lang small amounts na data. So, key points in making decisions. Decision makers must first make sure that they completely understand the problem. It is a good idea to be able to look at the decision from multiple perspectives. This can be accomplished through selecting a group of people who will look at and define the problem from different perspectives. Data should be gathered on how the current problem is affecting people now. Okay, so pag once we reported the result, then papasok na yung decision making kung uh, ano ba yung magiging plano, okay, kung saan ba yung um, gaano ba naapektuhan ang isang group dun sa current problem. So some examples of important data to gather include efficiency levels, okay, satisfaction levels, and output metrics. So using results. So ito na yung pinaka kumbaga peak. Okay? So after all the process of evaluation, we collect, we collate the data of the evaluation, we reported the results, and then we decide. Okay? After we decide, we implement and we use the results. Okay? So analyzing and using data, including learners in the analysis of their assessment results, encourages them to take ownership of their learning and adds motivation for them to set their own learning intentions. Methodical analysis of assessment data provides evidence a practitioner needs to improve teaching and learning for the group and individuals within it. So accurate interpretation of the data analysis enables the practitioner to understand where learners are in the learning and to set the goals and learning intentions for the next steps in the learning process and plan the learning program. So evaluating the evaluation process. So hindi pa natatapos doon. When we after using the results, of course, andyan yung implementation. After that, we still need to evaluate the evaluation itself, yung evaluation process itself. Kung paano ba was it smoothly implemented yung evaluation process. Effective pa yung evaluation method na ginamit mo. Okay? Was the data enough for you to collate? And then, kung ano ba yung mga sources of data mo during your evaluation method. Effective ba? So, evaluating the evaluation process. Evaluation is a powerful strategy for distinguishing programs and intervention that make a difference from those that don't. It is a driving force for developing and adapting sound strategies, improving existing programs, and demonstrating the results of investment in time and other resources. This recommended framework for program evaluation is both a synthesis of existing best practices and a set of standards for further improvement. So, in evaluation strategies, or I mean, in evaluation process, there is a continuous process in it. So, kumbaga, yung evaluation is a bigger umbrella, and below it, there are small or micro processes. Okay? Evidence-based practice. The concept of evidence-based practice is dependent upon synthesizing evidence from the variety of sources and applying it appropriately to the care needs of populations and individuals. So once a problem has been identified, using a process that utilizes critical thinking to recognize a problem, the clinician then searches for and evaluates the research evidence and evaluates potential discrepancies. Thank you. And that's all for my report.